Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. The author, he says, Al-Amr al-Sabi' Mujahadatu al-Nafsi wa Adamu al-Ya's. Point number 7, Mujahadatu al-Nafs. You gotta fight yourself. Wa Adamu al-Ya's. And do not despair. You can't give in to your whims. You can't give in to that voice in your head, that quote-unquote fire dragon. You can't give into your lack of self-esteem, your poor amount of confidence, that inferiority complex that you have. You can't give into your body telling you that you're hungry or tired or sleepy. You can't give into the feeling that your body is telling you about with regards to your sexual desires. You want to be married. You don't have enough money to get married. You're sacrificing your ability to go to school and to work because you're seeking ilm full time. You can't give in to that weakness. You can't give in to those thoughts. You can't give in to the doubts of the nafs. You can't do it. That amount of greatness was only for the scholars. Okay? You're not Arab. It's not made for you to be great. It's not made for you to master this language. That was only Sheikh Al-Albani. There was only one Albani, only one non-Arab that would stay all day in the library and eat sandwiches and have the keys to the library, not you. You can't listen to that. And this is of your nafs, let alone of the other people, the other human beings that are going to say these negative things and say these hurtful things to you to discourage you from your path, your road of seeking ilm. You can't lose hope. I'm too old. You can't lose hope. I messed up. I should have been doing this and I should have been doing that and kada and kada and kada. I was younger and I was this and I was that when Sheikh bin Baz was alive and Sheikh Muqbil was alive in Yemen and kada. And you can't give in to these things. And if you do, you lose. It's just that simple. يستسلم بعض المبتدئين في الطلب في أول مراحله. He says there's some beginners who quit in the very first few stages of the road. They take a couple footsteps and they give up already. They fall into the sin of self-defeat, and they didn't even go anywhere yet. They're still beginners, and they already shoot themselves in the foot. يعجز عن حفظ متن فيستسلم وييأس، أو يعجز عن إكمال قراءة كتاب فيضعف، أو يعجز عن فهم درس كان يحضره فيعزب عنه ويغفل عنه. ولا شك أن هذا مما ينبغي أن يكون في طالب علم، ولا شك أن هذا مما لا ينبغي أن يكون في طالب علم. فعليك أن تجاهد نفسك والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا. وإذا علم الله عز وجل أنك تجاهد نفسك للصبر والمصابرة فأبشر من الله بما يسرك. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم أفضل الجهاد أن يجاهد الرجل نفسه وهواه. وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما العلم بالتعلم وإنما الحلم بالتحلم. ومن يتحرى الخير يعطه ومن يتوقى الشر يقاه. He says there's some people when they want to memorize a small book and they find it difficult and burdensome, they quit. There are others who can't finish the reading of a book and they give up. There's some people who can't be consistent enough to attend the class, every class, and then they give up and they quit and they turn away. He says this is totally unnecessary for student knowledge without any doubt. You have to fight yourself. Allah Azza wa Jalla says in Surah Al-Ankabut, verse 69, and those who fight hard, fina, for our cause and our sake, لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ, surely we will guide them, subulana, guide them to our ways, to our paths. So before we go into the kalam of the author, I'm saying right now, if you want to be a student of knowledge and you don't want to be a warrior, you don't want to fight, if you're too soft or scared or afraid to be a fighter, then go be something else, because you're going to need to fight. And the greatest and biggest, strongest, most formidable and deadly opponent isn't the outside enemy, isn't this one and that one. It is your own self. Your own nafs. Everybody understand this? You are your worst enemy. And the greatest things that you can allow yourself to fall into of destructive practices is listening to the weakness of your nafs and giving up and quitting, despairing and losing hope. The author then says, Allah Azza wa Jalla, when He knows that you're fighting and you're trying to go against yourself and that you're forcing yourself to be patient, to be perseverant, then have glad tidings. Have glad tidings that Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to give you something that's going to make you happy. The Prophet ﷺ says, the author quotes hadith that states, the greatest jihad or the most virtuous jihad is for a man to fight himself and his own desires. The Prophet ﷺ also says, knowledge is only obtained through learning, and tolerance and forbearance is only learned through practicing tolerance and forbearance. He who looks for good will be given, and he who wishes to avoid evil will be protected. يقول أبو هلال العسكري رحمه الله تعالى: وكان الحفظ يتعذر علي حين ابتدأت أرومه ثم عودته نفسي إلى أن حفظت قصيدة رؤبة وقام الأعماق خاوي المخترق في ليلة وهي قريب من 200 بيت. He says, one of the scholars of the past, Abu Hilal al-Askari, said that when I first started seeking knowledge, memory was very hard. It was difficult. He says, but I forced myself. I trained myself to do it. He's saying he got into a fight, a fist fight with his nafs, a grappling match. It wasn't a simple, kind, diplomatic dialogue. No, he got into a fight, a street fight. And he forced his nafs to submit. He forced his nafs to obey his will. Everybody understand these words? Not the opposite. Not allowing the nafs to control you, but you telling your nafs, you are going to memorize. You're going to read. You're going to study. I'm not going to listen to you, but you're going to listen to me. He says, I forced myself to do it until the point in which I memorized a qasida. He says here, a very long poem that was over 200 lines in one night. وقد أخبرني بعض كبار السن أنه كان هناك رجل في الحرم المكي قدم مهاجرا وكان لسانه أعجميا يقول فكان إذا قرأ القرآن رفع صوته ليعالج حركة لسانه في نطق الأحرف العربية يقول فكنا نتأذى من نبرات صوته المتداخلة وبعد مدة من الزمن أصبحنا نتشوق لسماع قراءته إذا قرأ. He says, there are some elders that told me a story once about a man who used to go to the sacred mosque in Mecca. And he was someone who left his country and he basically migrated to Mecca. And he was of a descent or an origin, a background that didn't speak Arabic. So whenever he would recite the Quran, he had to fight and force himself to read and pronounce certain letters, okay, certain points of articulation that were very hard, that were difficult for a non-Arabic speaking person. And we would be bothered by him hollering and shouting and, crying out loud, trying to do this and trying to do that, trying to fix his tongue. We was like, what is this? He says, but as time went on, we began to look forward to his recitation of the Quran. As time went on, we began to miss his beautiful voice. In other words, he perfected it. He fought himself. He didn't give in to himself. He didn't submit to himself. And he forced his tongue to be an Arab or Arabic tongue. الشاهد أن الإنسان إذا جاهد نفسه ولم يستسلم فسيرى من الله فتحا وتيسيرا. The author says the point is that when a person fights himself and he does not surrender, then bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will help him. Allah will open up all types of things for him. As we say, or as some of the wise people of the North would say, war is a battle of wills. War is will. That's what war is. That's what makes a great warrior. It's he who has the greatest willpower. He who refuses to give up, refuses to submit to the will of his enemy. And as some people say, and obviously we as Muslims, we know that a soul will die when the Lord decrees for it to die. We know that that is our aqidah that we know and believe in firmly. But the expression, okay, as some people they say, is the warrior is he who refuses to die. They say that's the brave man. How does a person go in the front row, in the front rank of so many battles and not die? We know that his death is only by Allah's decree. We know that. But the point that we're trying to get across is he has the willpower is that I'm not going to get hit. I'm not going to die out here. I'm going to fight. Everybody understand this? And he tries his best to make sure that he isn't fatally wounded. That's the point that we're trying to get across. You have to have strong willpower, being a student of knowledge. A student of knowledge is not an easy, simple task. And it necessitates and requires a great deal of bravery and courage and a great deal of jihad. And if you're unwilling to do that, once more, step away and don't bother yourself. Don't waste your time and waste the time of others. As far as if you're unsure, and if you have some courage and it's not that strong yet, you've not yet become a lion, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, keep asking Allah for it. Work on it step by step, piece by piece. As the author quoted the hadith, it only comes from you practicing it and gaining it, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, in the slow passage of time and in the movement of the years that Allah Azza wa Jalla has decreed for you. Al-amr al-thamin, تذكر وانظر في معارفك وفي أقرانك. The 8th point, he says, is for you to reflect and for you to compare yourself with regards to what you know and among your colleagues, among your friends, your classmates. فسترى أن هناك من يصغرك سنا قد حصل أكثر منك علما، وسترى أن هناك من يفتقد ضروريات وهي عندك كماليات قد حصل أكثر منك علما. هذه المقارنة والمفارقة تزيدك إلى أن تكون مثله أو أحسن منه. والمهم أنك إذا نظرت في أصحابك فسترى تمايزا. وانظر إلى من يقل عنك مالا وتيسيرا في سعة الرزق وفي سهولة الأسباب. فإذا رأيت من أولئك من قد فاقك علما فلزاما أن تشحذ همتك وأن تغبطهم ولا تحسدهم. The author says, he says, you'll look and you'll see people who are younger than you, who have more knowledge than you. You'll see people who don't have certain things which are necessities that you consider to be accessories, things that are dururi, necessary things they don't have, and you have them on your shelf of extras, on trimmings, on accessories. He says, but they have more knowledge than you. He says, when you compare yourself to these people, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, it should drive you and motivate you to be similar to them, if not greater than them. He says what's important is that if you look at your friends, you'll see a distinction. You see people who have less wealth, less affluency. Okay, things are difficult for them, but they still have more knowledge than you. He says, so when that is the case, then you should inspire yourself, push yourself, cut on your engine, cut on your hyperdrive, okay, and to have the permissible type of jealousy and not the haram type of envy. The permissible jealousy, ghibta, and not hasad. Subhanallah, this brother, he doesn't have 1/3 of the things Allah has blessed me with, and look what he got. Subhanallah, this sister here, look at the difficulties she has to go through. She has a husband, she has children, she has this and she has that. She still memorized Alfiya ibn Malik. I haven't memorized anything. So you should want what they have, but not wanting Allah to take it from them just for you to get it or not. You shouldn't be envious. Okay? The permissible jealousy is for when you want Allah to give you similar to what they gave them. Right? And not the evil hasad, in which a person is scornful and spiteful. A very important point here, and it's considered to be one of the finely tuned aspects of the adab of seeking ilm, is to compare yourself, not all of the time, but sometimes, to others. Okay, there is a detail, and sometimes you shouldn't compare yourself to others because everybody has that which is good for them. What works for this man may not work for you. What works for this brother may not work for that brother. What works for this system, it's just not for you to just always compare yourself and think that you have to be on this plateau. And wallahi, we've seen this from both sides of students of knowledge overseas. We've seen brothers who constantly compare themselves to others with the inferior nadra, the inferior scope. And we've also seen brothers look at others with the inferior scope, but on the other side, looking at themselves being superior. We do this. We study this. We have that. Our mashaykh are like this. Your students are weak. They're this, they're that. And kada. And the other brothers, they will be overseas. Wallahi, overseas. Oh man, I wish I was in this city. Oh man, the brothers, they study like this. Oh, subhanAllah, they have Sheikh Fulan with them and they have this and they have access. Ya akhi, make the best out of your situation. Make the best out of what you have. Alhamdulillah, do what you can where you are. Benefit where you are. It's not important. So this is one of the lessons that I got when I was in Yemen. Okay, and there was, when I was there, maybe 2004, roughly. This was at the height of, the different controversies that were taking place overseas, and the Rudud, and the Maj, and this and that, Sheikh Muppah's camp, and kada, and kada, and kada, and kada, and kada. And Medina University is weak, and the students are weak, and the Maj is better, and this and that. And the brothers, they would go back and forth. And there were certain brothers that came to me, brothers of different backgrounds, different ethnicities, black brothers, white brothers from America that were studying the Maj. And they tried to get me caught up into this. And I had to tell a couple of brothers and explain a few things and clarify a few issues to them. This was in 2004, 13 years ago. The point is that most of those brothers that were caught up in this, comparing themselves to others, who's better, who's this, who's that, I don't know of any of them to this day that is still studying. I don't know of any of them to this day that has a successful, fruitful da'wah, that has produced books and taught students and actually lifted the bar. I don't know of any of them to this day. Is that the reason why they stopped, why they fell off, quote unquote? Allahu alam, I don't know. That's not my job to know. But I'm just telling you the story. Is that there has to be a balance. Don't always compare yourself to the next person. Do what you can do. Benefit where you are. We were in Sana'a, and alhamdulillah, we benefited tremendously. And we took advantage of the resources that we had. That's what's important. If Allah allows you to go to another city with another sheikh and this and that, alhamdulillah. And the same applies to Medina University. There was a brother in my class. The brother was from Qatar. He actually wasn't necessarily in my class. He was someone who had graduated the College of Hadith, but he still was there in Medina, or maybe if my memory is correct, I believe maybe he had a few classes with us. For sure he was ahead of us. Okay, for one reason or another. So what's important is as time went on, and the year was ending, he had graduated. Okay, in the first half of the year. That was his 8th semester. All right, his 8th semester was my 7th semester. Okay, so when it was time to take the exam for the master's program, before that, he would talk about different students. Not by name, but just to look down upon them. He said, you see Fulan, look at him, he's a joke. He's weak. Look, this guy's going to apply for the master's program. These guys in Kulit al-Hadith in your class, they're this and they're that. Well, he would say this. And then when we took the exam for the master's program, don't you know that this brother from Qatar, he failed. He didn't even pass the exam. The point I'm trying to get to is, when you scorn people, or when you scorn yourself in front of other people, in my humble opinion, it is a major ingredient for your own personal failure. Whether it's because of your arrogance and Allah teaching you a lesson, or whether it's because you're worried about the next man so much in your short, limited lifespan that you forget to look after your own self. Al-amru tasi' tartib al-awqat. The 9th point is management of time. Order of time. Putting your time together in order. ترتيب الأوقات والسعي في المحافظة على لحظات وقتك من أعظم الأسباب في تحصيل العلم. فطالب العلم ينبغي أن يكون من أبخل الناس بالوقت، أن يضيع سدى، وأن يكون من أكرم الناس في بذل العلم ونفع الناس. فانظر في أوقاتك وكم يضيع من أوقاته بلا تحصيل، وبخاصة من ذلك الشاب الحريص على التحصيل. يقول بعض السلف: إذا مر علي يوم لم أزدد فيه علما فلا بورك لي في ذلك اليوم. The author then says, point 9 is management of your time, organization of your time. He says this is one of the greatest ways of gaining knowledge, and a student of knowledge should be very cheap and extremely miserly in wasting his time. And he should also be the most generous, the most munificent, the most bountiful person with regards to spreading knowledge and helping the people out. Just stop and think about those words now, brothers and sisters. Two major worlds: being cheap and being generous. Being stingy and being quote-unquote reckless with your wealth. As we say in our modern urban cliche, to have short arms with deep pockets. Person is so stingy, a Scrooge as we say. And then for someone to be so generous that their friends and their family members and their advisors say you're a fool, you're wasting your wealth, you're spending your wealth, you're reckless, you're giving away money to every bum in the street who asks you for money. Anyone who wants a favor, you give it to them. You don't ask, why do you need the money? Why is your electric cut off? You give them the money. You can't waste money like this. Nor can you make yourself someone that the people can always rely on for a debt, a favor. And he says, no, I disagree. As long as I have it, I'm going to give it to the people. Two contrast worlds now. Someone so stingy, so sick, that they don't want to spend on their own selves. You ever see a stingy miser in a supermarket? He looks at the price of every single small product. He wants the box of waffles, but because it's 30 more cents or $1 more, he says, no, put it back. And he is affluent. He's a wealthy person, but he's stingy. He's stingy upon his own self. Abkhal al-nas. And then we have the exact opposite, one who doesn't look at the price. Bismillah, that's what I want, that's what I'm getting, and that's it. You want something? I want this, but it's too expensive. Is that what you want? Well, order it. Just like that. So we have one world. Anyone's going to waste your time. However the time is being wasted. Time is being wasted with television. Time is being wasted with Facebook. The time is being wasted with khila wa qal. The time is being wasted with quote-unquote refutations. The time is being quoted with this sheikh and that sheikh, and Sheikh Fulan went here, Sheikh Fulan he went there, and Sheikh Fulan did this and this one and this and that. However you waste your time. And the people who spend their time teaching classes, giving lectures, answering questions, helping the people out, making review with their sisters in the halaqah. Which one do you belong to? And do you have both? I don't have no time for this. But it's Sheikh Fulan. I understand. May Allah preserve him. I don't have time for it. I have 10 books I got to read. I have to summarize this, I have to memorize that. I don't have no time for this one and that one. This country and that country. I don't have time for that. I have a war that I'm fighting with myself. My energy is limited. My time is limited. My life is limited. But someone who wishes to learn and ask a question, tafaddal, bismillah. Because when I teach a class or I write a book or I do something, I'm learning myself. I'm reviewing myself. Let alone the barakah of the wealth is zakat. The barakah of the wealth is zakat. And from the ways of increasing your wealth is to give charity and to give zakat, give sadaqah. As the Prophet ﷺ told us, that charity does not deplete wealth. So this is how the student has to be. Generous when it comes to beneficial things, stingy when it comes to waste of time. Only Allah knows how many people we saw go to Medina and just sit and waste their time. And so many different things. It's not just about refutation and this one and that. There were other brothers that were away from that stuff too. Every single night they would go and eat at Domino's. Every single night they wanted to go to eat at Pizza Hut. Every single night they wanted to go to Jarir bookstore. Every single night they wanted to go here to this mall and this place. Every weekend we're going to Jeddah, we're going to Yambut, we're going to go swimming, we're going to go snorkeling. Every single day there was a game, a movie, a video game, something they were doing, wasting their time. And I would sit back and say, what are you here for? Go back to America. Where's the land of video games, the land of movies? You want to chase girls and get girls' numbers in the mall? Why come to Saudi Arabia? Go to America and do that. It's 1,000 gazillion malls. It was mind-boggling how so many brothers would just waste their time in so many different things. As one brother said, a brother was British, he's from the UK. There was a bunch of brothers, they were living in an apartment. The brother from the UK, he said that another brother said, let's do some bahth. Let's do some research, guys. Let's pick up all of these books that we bought and actually read them and not just buy books to buy them. So the brother said, bahth, what are you talking about, bahth? He says, get some pizza, man. What are you talking about, bahth? Nobody doing no bahth around here. So the brother said, just like that. Like, what are you talking about? Research and study. Let's go to pizza. Let's go to Domino's. This is terrible. And wallahi, we saw this. So we warn the students of knowledge in the future from wasting their time. And then when it comes to teaching or helping people out, they say, oh no, you should just focus on yourself first. No, you don't give a class if you go back to the UK in the summer. Help out your own self first. You shouldn't, yani, at-tasaddur. They bring all types of fancy words. Imam Ahmed, he said this and he said that. So we can sit around and eat pizza. We can talk about fulana, look at her pictures online, who's going to get married to her, who's her ex-husband, da-da-da-da. But I can't give a khutbah or class at my local masjid. I can't teach the summer camp at my local masjid. May Allah help us all. The author, he says, stop and look at your day and how many hours are wasted with nothing. He says it's something that the youth must pay attention to. Some of the Salaf, they would say, when a day passes by and I don't become more learned, more knowledgeable, then it wasn't a good day for me. There was no barakah in that day for me. Just stop and ask yourself, do you increase in knowledge every single day? Do you gain? Do you memorize a hadith, an ayah, a tafsir, a sharh every single day? Or is it the opposite? Do you become stagnated even more? The author says, وَنُقِلَ عَنْ عَامِرِ بْنِ قَيْسٍ أَنَّ رَجُلًا قَالَ لَهُ كَلِّمْنِي فَقَالَ لَهُ أَمْسِكِ الشَّمْسِ. Amir ibn Qais, one day a man asked him to speak to him. He said, Kallimni, please talk to me. Amir told him, Amsik al-Shams, said, go and reach for the sun. Go grab the sun. In other words, just like it's impossible for you to grab the sun, it's impossible for me to sit down and just chat with you. And obviously, once again, this is not the Prophet ﷺ's words. All right, the Prophet spoke to his companions. This is not hujjah. It's just an example. You're statness behalf of Daw al-Kitab wa-Sunnah. Okay? We benefit from these things in light of the book and the Sunnah. Okay, not it's haram to talk to someone, but the point of trying to get across is how they were stingy with their time for just chitter chat. From just what? From just chitter chat. This is mentioned by Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah in his book Sayd al-Khatir, a book that we advised students and the people to read in a few lectures. And in that book it's mentioned that Ibn al-Jawzi rahimahullah would be so stingy with his time and so diligent, because it's not really being stingy with your time, because you're only seeking knowledge for yourself and to help others. So in actuality, you're being generous with your time. But it's a form of stinginess that when people will come and visit him, and it was a must for him to sit with this person, there was no way he could get out of it. He had to sit with his relative or this neighbor or whatever the case may be. He would prepare for himself things that he could do without all of his intention being on the thing, and he can actually entertain his guests. So they would come, they would sit with him, he would give them something to drink, something to eat, and he would be shaving his reed quills. He would be trimming his partridge or his papyrus. He would be binding his notes, getting his things together when he's alone to write. So it would never be a time which he was just wasting his time. Everybody understand this? ويقول الحافظ ابن الجوزي رحمه الله واصفا حاله إذا ابتلي بزيارة من يشغل وقته بلا نفع. As we just said, فأعددت أعمالا تمنع من المحادثة لأوقات لقائهم لئلا يمضي الزمان فارغا فجعلت من المستعد للقائهم قطع الكاغد وبري الأقلام وحزم الدفاتر فإن هذه الأشياء لا بد منها ولا تحتاج إلى فكر وحضور قلب فأصرتها لأوقات زيارتهم لئلا يضيع شيء من وقتي. As we just explained. Okay, in the book Sayd al-Khatir. So stop and think about that as well. There was no Staples, there were no Office Max, there was no Amazon, there was no delivery of any notebook or book or pen that you wanted. There was no Schaefer and Waterman and Rembrandt. It was none of that. You had to prepare the things for yourself. So just how easy things are today in 2017, and we still waste our time. The author says, فَأَوْقَاتُنَا كَثِيرَةٌ وَلِلَّهِ الْحَمْدُ وَلَكِنْ نَحْتَاجُ إِلَى تَرْبِيَتِهَا. He says that we have a lot of time on our hands, but we need to manage it and handle it properly. وبعض الناس يتعذر بعدم البركة في الوقت يقال لهذا وأمثاله البركة موجودة لكن المعاصي والفوضوية تحجبها. He says, and there's some people who they complain that there's no barakah in the time, that was the ancients. There's a legend, the barakah of Fulan, he would write this book, he would read this. We don't have that in 2017. The author says the barakah is present, but there's so much chaos, there's so much sin, and there's so many different things which take us away from obtaining the barakah that Allah has placed. As we mentioned before about technology and about the hustle and the bustle of the city. And if you don't have to look no further than your own pocket with your smartphone. If you think about it, people complain about the smartphone. My smartphone is this and smartphone is that, and my son and my children, all they do is on their phones. Okay, if you have an iPhone, you have a Samsung Galaxy, whatever you have, download books. If you have 60 gigs, 32 gigs, 16 gigs, download books. Why can't you download PDFs and read your phone? If you don't like books, or books are too heavy, or books are too expensive. Or you can download lectures. You can download recitation of the entire Quran Kareem. Who you want? Husri, Sa'd, Ghamidi, Muhammad Ayub, this one, that one. How many dictionaries and apps do they have for phones and tablets? But the people, some people do, but a lot of people, if not most, they don't use the technology for seeking it. But the barakah is there. Just stop and think about it. In my phone, not my tablet that I have in my bag, my cell phone. I have over 100 gigs of PDF books a person can say. I'm walking around with Fath al-Bari, Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, Sir Alam al-Nubala, Musnad Imam Ahmad, the new copy. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of volumes in my pocket. No one is stopping you from the barakah of that, but your own self. The author, he then says, ولو نظرنا في حال بعض مشايخنا رأينا مع كثرة مشاغلهم حسن الترتيب في أوقاتهم ذلك لأنهم أعطوا كل ذي حق حقه ومستحقه بتوفيق الله جل وعلا أولا ثم بعنايتهم بأوقاتهم ثانيا. He says, and if we look at our mashayikh, our ulama, we see how busy they are, but at the same time, they still have a good management of their time. And that is because they give the people who deserve things what they truly deserve. Okay, by the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. First and foremost, and secondly, because they actually manage their time properly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. We'll stop here today. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.